Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Good to see you all. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you are notified when we go live. We have a fantastic show lined up for you today. All right, so we have some stories around the world we're going to talk about. But again, please hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. Today, we're going to touch on Tinubu's presidency versus ex-president Obasanjo. We're going to talk about the 150 million ransom being demanded to release a particular person. They were also going to talk a little bit about Trump. We're going to talk about the ambassadorial list of Tinubu. So welcome, welcome. Please share. Let everybody know we're hanging out here. So without any further ado, folks, brace yourself because it's time to welcome the man who wears two very impressive hats. One as the publisher and editor of SharpEdgeNews.com and the other as a high chief from our very own um, Akure North local government. I think it's Akure North, right?
That's right.
Okay, Akure North Northern local government part of Nigeria, Yidi Ogbese to be precise. Welcome to the show today, sir. Good to have you.
All right, thank you so much. It's always good to be back, and sincere appreciation, not flattery. It's no matter of just trying to be pleasant or some way of a false uh, attitude. Uh, just for our audience around the globe to understand that they are appreciated and they should accept our utter sincerity in showing appreciation and expressing our thanks for standing with us. Um, like you said, Ola, uh, before we pick on the important news items of the day, let's again express appreciation to so many friends and well-wishers who have by way of calls or gifts and all kinds of gestures, express solidarity with us during the process of our medical rehabilitation, the procedure in respect of prostate cancer. We are here, we are back, and we've been declared cancer-free. But permit me to say thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Martins Ayelomi and the wife, Tony Nifabilola, and to also thank our good brothers in faraway Canada, Mr. Akinrinde Fagbamigbe, and to everybody. It's so hard to run the list off end, but just understand that we appreciate you, Mr. and Mrs. Busayo Ojo of Maryland. We appreciate you. We appreciate the Baba Ijo, the latest Baba Ijo in town, the lay president of St. Andrew's Anglican Church, Usho, in person of Chief Adebose Oluwafemi. And we appreciate all of you, all Usho descendants, the princes of Ayede Ogbese, Prince Benga Oluyede, Prince Ruben Degorola Oluyede, Prince, Dr. Lassen Bello qualifies to be called a prince as well. And then the other princely Bellos, Prince Bello Kendi, Taye Bello, Mr. Olubi Ade Oludayo, and so on and so forth. The entire members of the Anglican Church in Ayede Ogbese for their prayers and their well wishes. That said, let us emphasize one point here, that we have a choice in life. It is either we continue to stand by things that do not really contribute to the body of knowledge or real physical well-being or healing. some people will come, they would want to feel bad that, some of these things could be addressed by going to some mountains and praying endlessly. Well, I differ a little. Yeah, prayer works, but God in this time and age, and from way back, has always shown, has always revealed knowledge and whatever could be done to keep humanity healthy to scientists, medical practitioners, and all kinds of professionals. It's a team effort. God in his realm has a way of engaging all kinds of people, all kinds of stuff in is a garment of creation for the restoration of good health to all of us. And so let us do something to, dismiss and destroy and cast down certain speculation about medical surgery for prostate cancer. It is not true that people will totally lose their erection or suffer erection dysfunction because of prostate cancer. No, it is not true. Do your research, seek medical opinion, do not be ignorant, because you think knowledge is too expensive to pursue. Obafemi Awolowo of blessed memory, the Nigerian political sage will say, try ignorance. Ignorance is usually is usually costlier than true knowledge. So let us pursue true knowledge. Over time, it may delay, it may tarry, it varies in some people, so long the nerves around the genitalia is not destroyed, that erection will be back in due course. And it is not what you think it is. Until you go through the process, don't voice an opinion about what you know next to nothing about. And there is no point shying away from discussing all this. I mean, there are people, famous people all over the world, and unknown quantities that have been through such processes, and they are doing well. We move from there to issues of personal concern in relationships. For example, the whole internet is our God, is our buzz with the news of Tupac, Tubaba in Nigeria.
Two-Face.
Two-Face. I mean, yeah, sorry. Two-Face.
I feel like I heard you say Tupac.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Two-Face, Tubaba, Mr. Dibia, going through stuff. And it is difficult for people to understand that anybody could be victim of domestic violence, could be a victim in, what's it called? Relational face-off. You know, it's been said that the new wife, the latest cash of Tubaba, Two-Face, is really unleashing a violence against him. And if you've been there before, for example, you don't go for your right size, what do you expect to get at times? But it does not also matter whether somebody is the proper size, if the size is proper, if the size is normal or not. You can be, you can be of imposing physique, yet still choose to be a gentle giant while in a relationship. If it is getting toxic, even if everybody is saying, oh, what a shame, why are you pulling out of the relationship? If you know that it is getting toxic, even if it is 365 days, even if it is just 24 hours to you tying the nuptial knot, you can always pull back. It is always a better situation. But also, if you decide, if you have taken that critical decision to stick together until death do you two part, you can always also pull out. But can there be alternatives to managing all kinds of issues relating to domestic violence? Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. A word for the wise. Now, to the sage of politics in Nigeria, the living sage of politics in Nigeria, the man they love to describe as living legend or Ebora Owu of Nigerian politics, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, raising concern about how it has become so disturbing and of us, of immense concern to all of us, not just Donald Trump in America, that no life is safe within the Nigerian space. Can you imagine in those days, whenever we were listening to news at noon, usually news at noon used to be world news on Nigerian radio or television channels. And then we'll be hearing of things like Kelu Kelu, that is atomic bomb, or Adoloro, that is grenades or bombs being thrown here and there in far and distant climes. We used to feel like, oh, that could never be the reality of Nigeria. But today in Nigeria, that is what we live in. When you are listing 4 or 5 most critical places in terms of terrorism, banditry, kidnappings, and what have you, all kinds of violent crimes, Nigeria has its own spot there. And some people said, oh, it was unfortunate for Donald Trump to have described Nigeria as a place of disgrace. Well, is it not shameful enough? Is it because it was Donald Trump that said it? If we parade ourselves as the giant of Africa, or the quintessential voice, or identity for the average black person on the face of the earth, and now we have to go through this, what does that show about us? We can't even contain it. So when Obasanjo said this calls for concern, and that if the government of the day in Nigeria cannot guarantee the safety of the people, that the citizens of the country have the right to call for international intervention and protection. I do not see anything that is wrong with the position being canvassed by General Olusegun, or the former General Olusegun Obasanjo there, as a military tactician, as a Nigerian Civil War hero, as two-time leader of the country, whether in military uniform or as an elected civilian leader. He's got enough experience. He's got enough military, what have you, exposure to say, this is not going well for Nigeria. And he also posited about one thing, which also captures what we described on this show last week, about all kinds of drugs. We hadn't even seen the expo from Olusegun Obasanjo about what the terrorist or bandit sympathizer Sheikh Gumi told him years back about foraying into what's it called, Boko Haram country, and the enclaves of bandits. That the so-called Sheikh Gumi, according to Obasanjo, gave a disturbing report that children, child soldiers of ages 13, 14, 15, and thereabout, minors, people that are practically stoned on drugs, all kinds of drugs, are the ones now that are being used as Boko Haram or terrorist foot soldiers. How critical. Everybody knows wherever drug reigns free, the mind will be numb, and people, it's happened in places like Sierra Leone, in places like Liberia, where people were, little children, child soldiers were given drugs, and they were given guns to personally execute their own parents in places like Sierra Leone and Liberia in the past. This is what seems to be the carbon thing that Nigerian terrorists are using today. It's almost like a text from all these violent crimes. And then for one of the presidential spokesperson, an experienced journalist himself, Mr. Sunday Dare, to have come out to want to give ad knocks to Obasanjo for maintaining a position. So wherever it is germane for people to voice an opinion about making progress in Nigeria now, the practical thing that you see from one administration to the other in Nigeria, in order to appear like somebody that is working, justifying the bogus pay that they are given, aspersions must be cast on people who give genuine constructive suggestions and opinions. That is not good enough. It is not enough to want to see Obasanjo as, an incurable enemy of the administration in Nigeria. Yes, he may not be a perfect man, but sometimes his voice is that of reason, and it should be respected, and something must be done about whatever is going on there. Of course, apart from Obasanjo, you have had respected clergyman, Tunde Bakari, also saying that the call from Donald Trump was a major jolt to the administration in Nigeria. But since then, what do we find? It's like there has been a spike. It's almost like all these terrorists and the criminals are taunting the administration, taunting the entire globe, and then making sure things are on the rise. At Eruku, at what's it called? Yagba West in Kogi State, Eruku in Kwara, everywhere. And we should focus on the possibility of us suffering another major failure of intelligence. If you can imagine it, then prepare against it. It looks like this thing that is going on in Kogi State, Kwara State, the Middle Belt, North Central, wherever in Nigeria, could in no time become the major reality of all parts of the country, particularly the southern part, southwest, southeast, south. So somebody should be on the guard against that. It is not enough to just run the mouth like people who are hawking a local bean cake. I mean, people, as someone said, on time we are jakara. You know, we shouldn't make it like, oh, that there are no longer capable wood carvers or carpenters in town, only people who will just do things, do artistic stuff by mere empty words of mouth.
But sir,
yes.
Is it not true that terrorism started during Obasanjo's time?
It even preceded that, but like Obasanjo himself said, what he did at what's it called, Saka Bill and Odi was enough instruction for anybody not to escalate the possibility of that. Boko Haram was weaponized later on. Of course, this thing they call terrorism, banditry, and what have you. For example, if anybody wants to really situate it within given date, preceded everybody, even the colonial period of Nigeria. Of course, without banditry and terrorism, how did millions of black people, black folks, end up being sold into slavery in the diaspora? It's because of activities of that is bandits in those days, burning down settlements, communities, kidnapping helpless and innocent children, selling them and their parents, kings, princes, what have you, into slavery in far-flung places. So if anybody is going to pin it on Obasanjo, such a person really is missing the point. Of course, you have heard of how the great trader, the patriarch of Dantata family, how himself as a very successful kola nut merchant, cotton merchant, was kidnapped, enslaved, and several, what's it called? Huge amount of money in terms of commodities had to be put in as bargain. What we call ransom.
I mean, you have a point, sir. Let me read this to you. Speaking of bandits, right? There's this
Yes.
report from earlier today. It says bandits who kidnapped the Ojibara of Bayagon in Ifelodun, local government area of Kwara State, Alhaji Kamilu Salami, have asked the community to pay 150 million naira for his
That's
release.
the traditional ruler right there.
Yes, a monarch.
He's a monarch. I don't know why they are giving him the title of Alhaji. You see how they become strangers in their own land. All these people with foreign influences and what have you are tormenting you, yet you are still wearing their stupid titles. How can a Kabiyesi, how can an Oba, a monarch, be called Alhaji?
I mean, maybe he
Please
wants
go
to be
ahead.
called. Maybe he wants to be called Alhaji.
Nonsense. Somebody should detoxify his brain. Somebody should wash his brain off that kind of mentality. That is slavery mentality. A king behaving like a slave. What is Alhaji for another? Please go ahead.
So it says, according to Vanguard, the abductors contacted the community early Sunday, allowing the monarch to speak with them as proof that he was alive and in their custody. During the call, he pleaded with his people to negotiate with the kidnappers to secure his quick freedom. The traditional ruler reportedly revealed that he was transported on a motorcycle for over 5 hours through dense forest before reaching the hideout where the gang made the ransom demand. Negotiations have not begun as of the time of the report, as the call was mainly to inform the community of the amount required. The monarch also disclosed that several other persons were abducted. You see, in another, I just want you to completely make your commentary on this. In another report, it says gunmen attack Kogi Church, abduct pastor, wife, and others. I think that's from yesterday.
The cherubim and seraphim church.
Correct. Yes, they stormed the Cherubim and Seraphim Church in Ejiba, Yagba, West Local Government Area of Kogi State during Sunday service, abducting the pastor known as Orlando, his wife, and several other worshippers. How is this possible when the exact same thing happened like a week, less than 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, Ola, it's been said that Nigeria has a pitchable palace monitoring situation failure. For example, having digital equipment or capability, satellite monitors, because in the past, some people at the agency in charge of what's it called, space whatever in Nigeria, I mean, where they pretend to have this capability, where they pretend to be spending huge amount of money, whereas some of the people there just amassed personal wealth, with which they later became senators and prospective gubernatorial candidates, not really minding the security interest of the nation, not looking at satellite technology as something that is of necessity. It was like something they had to run with a grandiose mentality, not really paying attention to the implication for the country. Today, because of the failure of our people to live honestly, to be credible, to be righteous, with little matters of public stewardship. That is why Nigeria is suffering all this. For example, somebody is saying the report is saying the monarch was transported on a motorbike for more than 5 hours. What about the possibility of defoliating some of these forests, making sure the whole place, if you deal with them, making sure that, proper chemicals are sprayed on wherever those forests, the so-called forests are. It will be regrown, but to make sure that there is no hiding place for any so-called terrorist, bandit, or criminal, defoliate those forests. It happened. Is it that people do not read? Is it that people do not avail themselves of opportunities of human history? In a Vietnam War, the dense forest there had to be defoliated the leaves were chemically shed in order for American...
for visibility. Yes,
visibility and intervisibility for Americans to be able to have a handle. Such could be done with all these hideouts that are called fantastic forests in Nigeria. But the will is not there yet. What is the way forward here? Kind of collaboration between international forces and the Nigerian military. I spoke with an experienced, well-trained naval, what's it called? Naval officer in Nigeria 3 days ago. He told me that Nigeria has the capability, but the incentives must be there. You cannot be paying your soldiers 50,000 naira or 150,000 naira or 70,000 and expect them to want to lay down their lives. You cannot treat the disappearance of a whole brigadier general, the murder of a brigadier general, as if it's a non-event, and expect more dedication from rank and file of the military or other uniformed, what's it called, groups in the country. So Nigerian government must be well up and doing, alive to its responsibilities. So to now want to begin to cast aspersion on everybody that voices constructive suggestions and opinion on the way forward, it's not proper. And I think that is irresponsible. And it shows the administration in Nigeria is increasingly becoming jittery and intolerant. Of course, look at the fact of the leader of the CNS, for our global audience. The CNS people are the congregation or the denomination known as Cherubim and Seraphim Church Movement in Nigeria. It's an indigenous African Christian movement. So the pastor of that church and the wife, the household of faith there, have been kidnapped. So when you find that in Yagba West, you find it in Iruku, in Kwara State, Yagba West in Kogi State, and then St. Mary's in Niger State. Is it an accident when Donald Trump says Christian communities are being targeted, congregations are being targeted? Donald Trump may be everything, but I mean to different people. But in this matter, I think he was damn right. He's been spot on how some of these things have a semblance of targeted killing, probably genocide. But that is not to say that Muslims don't get killed in Nigeria. Everybody is a potential victim. That is what Obasanjo said. And I have no objection to that. Thank you.
Let me read this comment to you and then we'll go on to the next segment. Shout out to Peter, man the great. Says, Obasanjo also sacrificed local government autonomy for his third term admission. He speaks like he was never a president. He allowed the Sharia nonsense. What's your take on that? Well,
yes, I was one of those journalists in Nigeria in those days that that were greatly disturbed by Obasanjo's description of the introduction of Sharia, first in Zamfara State and later in about 11 other states up north in Nigeria. And remember, instead of Obasanjo facing up to the fact that that was a major affront on Nigeria as a secular constitution, what he said then was that it wasn't wrong and that Nigeria was a multi-religious society. You know, at that time, I was really disturbed that Obasanjo was not being, was not really being up to the challenge of handling the presidency, because why? There had been opinions before then that without the backing of the Hausa Fulani bloc in Nigeria, that Obasanjo was nobody, especially during his military leadership from 1976 to 1979 when he handed over to civilian administration. In fact, somebody, a prominent news magazine publisher up north, somebody by the name of Mohammed Kotagora, used that to taunt Obasanjo. Obasanjo could not do anything without the household of Hausa Fulanis. So I agree with what Peter said. However, to equate that with the third-term agenda, that is no. The fact that he pursued allegedly the third-term presidential ambition in violation of the constitution of the country could not be an excuse for him not to be allowed to voice statesmanly opinion on this conflagration that is really, destroying the whole place now in terms of terrorism, banditry, kidnap, and all kinds of violent crimes, and of course, corruption and fraud in government. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please do me a favor. Hit like, share, subscribe, and follow everywhere. Let everybody know that we're hanging out. We've got some other trendy stories around the world, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So I wanted to cover this story real quick. Uh, Trump's shock visa ban. Afghan passport holders blocked. So I'm reading a quick report on aljazeera.com. It says pause on visas and halting of asylum applications comes after shooting of two National Guard members in Washington, D.C. The United States State Department has announced it is immediately pausing issuing visas for individuals traveling on Afghan passports to protect public safety as President Donald Trump administration's immigration crackdown intensifies in the wake of a deadly attack on two National Guard members. The announcement on Friday came as the United States immigration authorities said they are also halting decisions on all asylum applications for the foreseeable future. I'm looking at a tweet from Secretary of, I think it's the Secretary of State Department, Marco Rubio, says President Trump's State Department has paused visa issuance for all individuals traveling on Afghanistan passports. The United States has no higher priority than protecting our nation and our people. With that being said, do they have a right to do this, or do you think the agenda is still agendaing?
Well, number one, before I answer whether they have the right to do that or not, of course, what is more important here, or the most important consideration here, is the security of us, American citizens, and our properties. If we establish that base, and of course, that is what is of immense and most important consideration to any responsible government the world over, all over the world. So when we do a comparative, when we do a comparison between what it is here in terms of responsive and responsible governance and leadership, we do not do that. Without also trying to look at those indices in places like Nigeria. For example, Ola.
Yes, sir.
It is true that whoever was this guy, the Afghan national, who, being a political asylee in the United States, from the facts that have been made public, it was said that he first applied for what's it called, political asylum in the United States about 4 years ago, during the administration of former President Joe Biden, but that he was recently granted political asylum few months back. However, it's also been said that this was one of those Afghans who were recruited as a special unit of force to assist United States military during the situation, the crisis situation back in Afghanistan when the Taliban government had to be dislodged. However, the way I look at the whole thing is that President Donald Trump should please be mindful of the fact that the undercurrent for some of these stupid and crazy display actions by some of these foreign nationals on our soil in America here could be bigger than consideration of what's it called, terrorist instincts, and we can't excuse whatever stupid action anybody is capable of staging here. No, that is not our intention. Our intention is for the government to also, because if there is anywhere on the face of the earth where people can be broad-minded, where people can look at various options, especially things fueling some of these violent crimes and terrorist conduct, especially domestic and foreign individuals, aliens who will come to America, to the United States of America to harm us, the citizens, potentially. One should think of issues of mental health as well. I mean, these people, like it's been speculated, or like it's now certain, have been used. They've been exposed to action right in the center of a crisis. So could something be wrong with his brain? Of course, for him to have even gone as much as aiming, what's it called? Weapons of violence on guardsmen. In this situation, the lady who has now died from what the president briefed us last Friday. I mean, these things should be considered. Now, there is a critical situation here, Ola. Usually, when things happen in Nigeria, especially this irresponsible and intractable situation of terrorism and banditry in Nigeria, they are always quick to say that people get killed in America. The challenge here, they should let us have this debate. All of them, those who are volunteering jaundiced opinion about life in America, the challenge here that we are throwing at them is that, is there anybody in America or any so-called domestic or alien terrorist who finds this reckless and mindless attack on any of our citizens, on anything or any place in America that has never been caught? Is there any? I mean, they can try it only once. They may get away with it, but they don't live to tell the story. And when they are caught, they are made to swiftly face trials. That is not the situation in Nigeria. Is it possible for, if this Afghan misadventurer that attacked the National Guard's people in Washington, D.C., is it possible now that he's been caught, now that he has some mortal wounds, now that he is in is in a medical facility being treated, for the opportunity of him to have his day before the judiciary, before a duly constituted law court? I mean, has he been able to get away with it? And then is he celebrating, popping champagne like terrorists and bandits do in Nigeria? It's not the situation. So it's like having to compare two different scenarios, situations that are, way apart. This is what I see. It's so irresponsible on the part of certain people that are being paid by the Nigerian government to want to excuse the inexcusable all the time. Anything that happens in Nigeria, you find them, they will file out, and then they will be saying, after all, people get killed in New York, people get...
After all.
Nonsense.
You hear at least, after all.
Yes.
Excuse nonsense.
The two scenarios are incomparable. They are incomparable. So when I see all this, so focusing back on the issue of Donald Trump, it's not just about introducing the slowing down of the process of granting political asylum to people, because the world that we live in is a place that is already messed up. It's messed up. So when people have the urgent need to be protected, to be given all necessary legal whatever to earn their place by way of political asylum, by all means, it must be done. We cannot, because of the lunatic conduct, of one person, the psychotic action of one person, now deny everybody. Because I can see the threat of the administration wanting to even go beyond Afghan nationals or citizens to say that, any other person, everybody coming, asking for political asylum should not be granted. That would be against the spirit of America. What else is Donald Trump doing in this situation that calls for concern? I mean, he's been trying his best to protect the entire system. I mean, one sneeze about the Nigerian situation, you notice how people have been running around, skelter, people that have not been able to make nominations in terms of ambassadorial postings in more than 2 years of the Tinubu's administration. More than 30 of them have been nominated now. We don't know how many more. I mean, all these things are happening because of the actions of Donald Trump. But beyond that, Donald Trump does some things that would also want you to be so aghast. And you are saying, oh, excuse me, is this happening in America? For example, there is the allegation now that is going to lead to a congressional committee hearing on whether some of the people being killed as Venezuelan drug couriers or drug traffickers, if some of them, some of those killings, some of those exterminations are in violation of military rule of engagement. For example, could there be a situation in which some people actually raised their hand in surrender, giving it up, and then somebody still had to shoot them? Those things, those conducts are unacceptable. And from the forth and back between Donald Trump and the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War, as the case may be, we do not know what the truth is yet until some of these things become subject of a public hearing and all other things. All said and done, Donald Trump would want to appreciate it if somebody is giving him some flags concerning the impressive sales recorded during a Black Friday after Thanksgiving last week. That, among us, profit amounts were recorded by sales outlets and what have you, and then we are monitoring what today's situation would be concerning cyber sales, because everybody thinks, yes, the economy that has been floundering, that has been unstable because of flip-flop action on issues of immigration, issues of tariff, and the go-it-alone mentality of the administration and other shenanigans that have been recorded since Mr. Donald Trump came into office. Everybody really wants to see the administration's scorecard. That is where we are. So it is more than the green card situation, or what's it called, political asylum situation for Afghans and other places of a particular concern to the administration.
Thank you so much for that. That was a fantastic enumeration of all that is going on in that place, and then you link it all together. I mean, it's a good example. I like that you pointed as an example of how to deal with this kind of cases, as opposed to using America as an example to stay in the what do you call it? To stay in
for inaction in Nigeria, and to excuse ineptitude and irresponsibility.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. We have more trendy stories around the world. We'll be right back. Hit like, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. I'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Tinubu's ambassador list, a secret thank you package. All right, so we've got a list.
Yeah.
We got a list here. I want to go through the list real quick, and then Sarah Reporters published a small piece on it. Then also Joe Keshi, who used to be an ambassador to I think he was ambassador here for a long time, here in America. But long time ago, probably like
a career diplomat, so to say, a career diplomat.
Right. So
not just a political appointee.
Right. So President Ahmed Tinubu has sent the names of 35 ambassadorial nominees to the Senate for confirmation. This total comprises an initial batch of 3 and a subsequent batch of 32. Batch 1, initial 3 nominees: Ambassador Ayodele Oke from Oyo, Ambassador Amin Mohamed Dalhatu from Jigawa, retired Colonel Latif Kadiare from Ogun. Then we go to the additional 32 nominees, non-career ambassadors: Barrister Ogbonaya Kalu, Abia Reno Omokri Delta, former presidential aide, Professor Momodu Yakubu Bauchi, former INEC chairman.
Mahmoud Yakubu.
Mahmoud Yakubu, yes. Erelu BC Angela Adebayo Ekiti, former First Lady of Ekiti State. Ifeanyi Ugwanyi Enugu, former governor of Enugu State. Tasiu Musa Maigari Katsina, former speaker, Katsina House of Assembly. Yakubu N. Gambo. I don't want to go, it's a list of 32 people, like we said.
35.
For the 35, rather, yeah. The career ambassador here will be Enebechi Monica Okuchuku, Abia State. Yakubu Nyaku Danian D. Taraba. Musa Abubakar Kebi. Mukwelola Adiola Ibrahim Ogun. Then we have Ambassador Shehu Badi Katsina. And then we have, last I'm going to call on this list is Ambassador Wahab Adekola Akonde from Osun State. So I don't know. I'm sure you've read this list before.
And the first man you mentioned, Mr. Ayodele Oke, the former Director General of National Intelligence Agency of Nigeria, the Nigerian equivalent of the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA in America.
CIA.
It's also a thoroughbred professional, internationalist. Yes.
Gotcha. Now, real quick, the headline from Sahara Reporter says, Lawyer Effiong criticizes Tinubu's ambassadorial nominees, labels list thank you package for nominees, questionable roles. And then Joe Keshi, according to Channels TV, says some nominees on Tinubu's ambassadorial list should be in prison. I'm going to pass it over to you. I want to hear your own slogans.
Thank you very much. And in addition to what Joe Keshi said, he dared the Nigerian Senate to prove him wrong, that it will rubber stamp. There won't be a thorough and detailed vetting of the ambassadorial list. And why is everybody really concerned? Look at somebody like Reno Omokri.
Fani Kayode is on the list, by the way.
Femi Fani Kayode is on the list.
Yeah.
The two of them, people are really casting aspersion at the choice of these two. But I want to look beyond that. Yes, I'm not really happy that Reno Omokri is on the list, because you look at that guy as a quintessential flip-flopper. Today is for something, tomorrow he is for something else. He went everywhere. In fact, one of the tapes that recently surfaced and that has been trending on the internet is about his outright commitment to not accepting or not kissing up to the Tinubu administration if he would ever be invited to come and join in. So all this while, these guys, they have a way of pitching themselves as being perpetually available on the altar of power in Nigeria. You know, they have perfected their heart. What they first do is to make sure that they go for the jugular of whoever has been freshly elected. And then in no time, you see them doing that delicate rope dance, and then they somersault all over, lap up all their vomit, and then they become high-praising sycophants. That is the example of people like Reno Omokri. And then you look at the temperament of somebody like Mr. Fani Kayode. Honestly, I do not like to disparage him, because in the past, I will look beyond that personal, but there is something that he has to work against. This thing that will make people to look at him as Ironi Borum. You know, the influence of his father, Remi Fani Kayode, during the Nigeria's First Republic as a one-time, deputy premier of Western region, and the issue of being power drunk. His father, Remi Fani Kayode, had that notoriety. And in recent times, not minding the fact that Femi Fani Kayode used to be a contributor on SharpEdgeNews.com, our platform, when we first started, I have to look beyond that interpersonal relationship. Why should it be said that, oh, he's almost operating the same, with the same mentality his father acted during the days of the Wild Wild West? This is the same person that would tongue lash and talk down on journalists, and he himself confessed that he is short-fused. So this person is self-confessed short-fused. Is the person that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has now nominated to be a diplomat, for a presidential envoy, to be the face of Nigeria in some place that he will be posted as an ambassador. Good luck, because I cannot imagine him losing his temperament and then having to run his mouth. Do not forget that this same Femi Fani Kayode at the time was going to denigrate the present Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Bianca Ono Ojukwu. You remember that face-off between him and Mrs. Ojukwu?
Yes,
so,
yes.
These are the kind of people that are there. But beyond that, there is also a major expose right now, which is, so in whose interest were those guys known as G5 in PDP during the presidential campaign? In this interest, at whose behest were they acting the way they were doing all those kinds of anti-party? So these people now, in retrospect, it looks like they were propped up by the ruling party, APC, to really undermine and cause implosion within the then leading opposition party, PDP. Until today, PDP has gone comatose. So is this what all those internal sabotage against PDP, is this what it is all about? Honestly, were Nigeria not to be the kind of place it is, this qualifies for the equivalent of the Watergate scandal that swept, what's his name? Former American President Richard Nixon from office in the early 70s. This situation in which the sitting government in Nigeria would sponsor opposition elements to weaken opposition parties, so much so that Nigeria looks like a place of a one-party system today. You know, they still deceive themselves that there are more than 100 registered political parties in Nigeria. It's a multi-party state. Where is the multi-party system? Everything is weakened. Nigeria's situation today is even worse than what obtained under Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe. Nigeria is almost becoming like a laughing stock. So this ambassadorial nomination is exposing all that. People that have not been cleared, or remember the voice of Adams Oshiomhole saying, oh, you come into the ruling party, then your sins will be forgiven. Some people that ought to be facing. So there is no way anybody could disagree with the views being canvassed by experienced diplomats, technocrats, like Jokeshi. And really, I think about 9 people on the old list are career diplomats. But it's almost like what we witnessed at the time within the hierarchy of Nigerian military. People who were due for retirement were kept for an overtime. And then that stifled the promotion of people that ought to have moved in their career. So instead of this political payback, this paddy kind of ambassadorial nominee, what is wrong with having more career diplomats on the whole thing? And then let me make an observation that is really disturbing and so sad. We have many graduates of international relations, what have you, in Nigeria today. Unless you are the daughter or son of somebody who is a politically exposed person or elite in Nigeria, you are not likely going to be hired.
Highly unlikely.
You are not likely. The likelihood is that you will not be hired in. As a diplomat or potential member of the Nigerian Diplomatic Corps. So disturbing. We have several of them. Somebody contacted me the other day. I said, "Oh, please approach the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Biakan Ojukwu. I think she will listen to you. Since you are eminently qualified and you have the requisite qualification, maybe you will be recruited." But it's so disturbing that not many of our young graduates, not many of them are being recruited anymore. You find biochemists, all kinds of misnomer, being recruited into Nigerian Diplomatic Corps. What a disturbing situation. Is this how to build a country?
There's no structure.
Yes, systemic discordance.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to read a couple of these comments to you and then we'll round up. Just to honor those that hang out with us. Peter Man the Great says, 1, 2, 3, 4, says, "My concern with America's intervention that the northern leaders are shielding these young men. Dati VP to Obi referred to them as gentlemen in the forest doing bad things on Arise TV." What do you say to that?
Well, I don't see what is gentle about them. These are brigands. These are nonchalantans. These are criminals. These are murderous elements. And these are people who should be sent to meet whoever they say is their inspiration for the violent crimes they are committing, whether trying to use the force or violence to convert people to their own narrow what have you, or in just allowing terrorism or terror to be unleashed on the entire Nigerian landscape. I don't see anything that is gentle about them. Really.
We definitely can't excuse, we can't entertain any kind of...
And I know that Dati also is not joking about the need to really crack down on all these miscreants and social misfits.
Okay. Laja 41322 says, "Obasanjo crushed groups like OPC in the West, Mossab in the South, but handled the religious radicals with kid gloves in the North." Do you agree with that?
Yes, to some extent. That's why I said he was a bit wimpy. He was somehow wimpy. But again, when he decided to go for people like Mohammed Kutangura in those days, you know that that calculation was off the mark. By and large, since Nigeria's democratic dispensation started in 1999, Obasanjo seems to be the firmest leader in terms of security consciousness that Nigeria has ever produced since 1999. Yes, he had his weaknesses. However, he's about the best of the pack.
Wow. All right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. We did it. Another one in the bag. Please help us share it. Share it with the world. Let us know we're hanging out here every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But just subscribe so that you can get notified whenever we set up the live streams so you can be a part of the live interaction. Thank you so much. Hopefully, you've been enlightened, educated. We'll see you on the next one. Take care and God bless.
Good night.